to Tim Wilshire. Tim Wilshire from Confidential Tax and Business Services. Look, I have the pleasure of having known Tim for, I'm going to say over 20 years now. Rumour has it that I put Tim into the job of the business that he actually owns now. So that's a fairly long-lasting.
No rumour, that's the truth.
There you go. See, no rumour. And so it's, that's how long Tim and I have gone back. We've kept in touch all of that time. It's been a pleasure to see how he's grown and developed over what he's done, and I'm doing something completely different from what I was doing when Tim first knew me. Back then, I knew nothing about social media or the internet, I promise, and I still don't know much more. But Tim does know a lot more about accounting, and very much is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to accounting, tax, and the different things that the government are offering. He's been studying that diligently so he can share and impart his knowledge with everyone here today. So, Tim, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin, for, allowing me to be on your Brisbane Small Business Show today. So thank you very much. I want to say right off the bat, as far as an accountant and tax agent, we are the trusted advisors when it comes to our business clients here. And there are a lot of fantastic accountants that are frequently helping, their business clients and prospective business clients on the Brisbane Small Business Facebook page. So to be able to speak on behalf of all those guys too is really, really good. So as far as accountants we're concerned, it's all about collaborating. It's all about helping each other. And what I've sort of found with this, with what's happened with the coronavirus is that the accounting community is coming together to try to do what we can to help our clients in the best way. And that's why we've developed things like business survival kits, business continuity kits, to be able to run through those things with our clients to make sure that they can survive. The biggest issue with that we're sort of looking at, and we've got to fear the worst in a lot of cases, is that we want businesses need to try to think about how they're going to survive 6 months without any income. That's the reality that we're sort of potentially facing here with this particular coronavirus. So the most important thing is, okay, what strategies can we have a look at, and what can we sort of employ in our business, and as an accountant, how can we educate our clients as to the different strategies that we can look at to be able to try to make sure that those businesses survive. Some industries definitely are going to be hit a lot worse than others, and I'm talking, the tourism industry in particular. Hotel chains basically could go out of business. I mean, it's that bad. So I won't sort of dwell on that sort of thing. But the other thing to remember, and I'm going to talk a bit about the stimulus announcements that have already been made as of late Thursday last week. But the most important thing is there's more to come. Okay, the government have actually said today they're working on more stimulus measures. We don't know exactly what they are, but you need to stay in contact with your advisors and accountants and make sure that you're getting the information from them, or make sure that you know what's in it for you as a business owner. Because I guess the way things are, there's change by the hour, by the day when it comes to announced stimulus packages and stuff like that. So you need to be aware of what's out there. But let's just look at what we need to look at right now to begin with. And that is, I guess you need to sort of maximize your cash coming in the business right now. You need to look at, the most important thing is you need to sort of look at your cash flow for the next 6 months. And you need to really look at that cash flow and say, okay, can we survive if we've got no income? What are the estimates for income in the worst case scenarios? Chase up those clients. If you don't chase those client debtors up now, they're not going to pay in 3 weeks' time. You need to chase them up right now to get, to get your money in. So if you've got clients that owe you money, you need to have a proactive plan to make sure that you're getting you're getting what you've done for your clients. Otherwise, you're not going to be in business. So. One of the biggest things to really consider, and as an accountant, we don't often say this. We say, look, you need to keep on top of absolutely everything. You need to keep on top of absolutely everything. But we're in these sort of days right now, the ATO comes last. So as far as creditors are concerned, ATO comes last, which means you have to the ATO basically providing interest-free tax debts to the end of June 2020. That's a given. That's been announced. So if you're trying to survive, that's where if you're paying the ATO when you could be using that money to survive for another few more months, you're possibly making the wrong decision there. We don't usually often, as accountants, advise not paying the ATO because after a period of time, it'll catch up with you. But in these sort of circumstances, you need to have a look at the cash flow plan. We hope that a lot of industries that are smart will go back and things will start to recover. Things will start to get better for you come July onwards. So we don't know exactly the timing, but we've got to be prepared that things are going to take a while before they start picking up again. So you really need to look at everything, and it's good that the government and the ATO are allowing, I guess, a deferral there when it comes to paying those guys. So you really need to make sure that you keep your employees on if you can, because they're not, you need to make sure you're doing whatever you can for your businesses to survive. Without your employees, a lot of the time you're not providing any service to your clients. So you need to make sure you can continue to do that. Go talk to the bank. So if you wait till after the end of March to approach the bank, you're not going to have any chance of getting any funding. You need to really go to the bank right now in the next week or so. If you think you can, your financial figures up to date show that things are going well enough that funding is a good idea and the banks will trust that, take advantage of those opportunities. Obviously, make sure you've got enduring powers of attorney in place, because if you're unable to act for yourself because you're sick, it's very important to have enduring powers of attorney. Make sure your wills, your estate planning is all up to date. Obviously, review your employee policies. That's obviously very, very important. See what's allowable there. Obviously, most businesses will be reviewing that and making sure that they don't fall foul of fair work and stuff like that. Because obviously, laying people off, that's the last thing you want to do. And we're going to see a lot of it anyway. But you don't want unfair dismissals and stuff like that. Insurance is very important. From what I've seen and what I've know about, business interruption insurance doesn't really cover the coronavirus so much. There may be some rare policies out there that do, but I haven't really come across any. But make sure you still got the right insurances nonetheless. We need to protect your assets that are owned personally. So there are measures. I won't go into what those measures are here, I guess, on this small business show, but there are measures you can obviously review at and look at to protect your personal assets in the situation where things may not go so well for your business. We've already discussed the ATO tax relief options. I guess just going through the stimulus announcements that have been made to date, just so I guess you're aware what's available and how it actually works. So what we're sort of seeing, if you're a small business or any type of business that turns over under 500 million in turnover in Australia, and you've got at least, let's say, the equivalent of 6 or 7 full-time employees, then what's available to you really is the maximum for every small business in that category or higher. And that's the potential to, if you keep your doors open, you keep paying employees from now until the end of June, on those sort of levels that you've currently been paying, there's potentially up to $25,000 worth of contribution that the government are going to make tax-free towards your tax bills anyway. So that's 25 grand less that you'll have to pay to the ATO for tax taken out of employees' wages if that bill is, say, 50 grand from the 1st of January to the 30th of June. Sorry, Kevin?
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. The fact that they are looking at how can we, help maintain employment, and a lot of sole traders are going, oh, but that's not fair to me. But really, it's about maintaining faith in employment from that point of view, and they do need to do that. They do need to help us.
There is a way. Every particular, if you're any type of business, you can employ. If you're a sole trader, you can employ your spouse. Your spouse, you should be registered for PAYG withholding. If you're a sole trader and registered for PAYG withholding, you get $2,000. That's better than nothing.
Fantastic.
So that's a lot of people don't know that. I've seen a lot of little questions there, even on the Brisbane Small Business page about, I get absolutely nothing. Well, that's wrong. If you do your homework and work out a way to get something, it's there. If you're in business, you can employ.
And here
that employment might be $0 in wages, but you can employ it.
And here is the importance of what Tony Bentel said earlier: is go to the experts and get the right advice, rather than listening to all the rumors. You know, I know it's true. I saw it on Facebook. Come on, let's go and talk to the experts and use their advice, because that, after all, they spend a lot more time dealing with the day-to-days of the intricacies and the challenges of this to help their clients improve their businesses and to have a better life.
I guess the other thing to know is we're only sort of looking at advice from basically what we've seen in the government recommendations. I mean, this still has to get passed by Parliament. They're hoping to do that in a quick amount of time. We're basically just going off what we see at the moment when it comes to advice, and you've got to do that. You can't not do that. As an accountant, your clients are looking up to you, looking for advice, and you've got to tell them this is what the way things are at the moment. We've got time up our sleeve to maybe do some tax planning in order to be able to maximise these benefits, and what that tax planning might actually be. So there are lots of opportunities there. The other main thing that's come out of this is the instant asset write-off still around. New assets, there's an extra 50% deduction that's available. We're still waiting to make sure that all gets passed by Parliament before sort of going too crazy with that, because that's, I guess, you've got time. You've still got a bit of time to be able to make those decisions. But the problem is, I think over the next 3 months, it's going to be a lot harder to make those, what I call, more discretionary decisions to invest in assets, because as soon as you start investing in assets, you've got to fund them somehow. So you got to make sure that you can get finance for those. You do not want to pay for those things in cash right now. Definitely don't. You don't want to. So you need all the cash flow you can get over the next 3 to 6 months. So yeah, the other thing too, which I think is good advice, is review your stock, review all the plant. Can you get rid of anything that's not getting used here? You need to just sell it off. You need to free up your cash in any particular way you can. A lot of businesses have, machinery, trucks, vehicles that just aren't getting used at the moment. They've held on to them for some time. Now's the time to get rid of them, even cheaply. Just get something so you're not going to go out of business. It all helps. Obviously, review all your loan and lease contracts, as we sort of said. Review your situation with your landlord. Hopefully you're not tied down too much as far as rent is concerned, but we do have businesses that obviously have to pay their rent, and if it's going to go, could push them to the wall if they can't. So you need to have a plan. Get in touch with your landlord and come up with a plan. You need to make sure that they understand the situation. And obviously look at all the different contracts, get out of any particular contracts that aren't applicable, get rid of any subscriptions you don't need. We're in a subscription world at the moment. Most businesses probably have 50% of subscriptions they don't actually need. So there's those sort of things. As far as meeting your accountants at the moment, we're quite happy to sort of chat over the phone. We're quite happy to do Zoom, Skype sessions. We'd prefer that now as opposed to coming in the office for a while. We just don't want to sort of encourage the spread of anything going on. And I think as long as you can talk to somebody on the phone, I think that's very, very important to be able to hear their voice, hear what they're saying, hear the tone of their voice, make sure they try to emphasize with people that are going through tough times. I mean, we've had clients that, just like that have lost business as a result of what's been happening. So you need to make sure that you can sort of help your...
You've just up there. And there's lots of different measures, and I guess the really key point is there's lots of rumours coming around about the stimulus package and how you can and can't use that. The key thing coming from Tim just then was, speak to your accountant. He understands best how the stimulus is going to be implemented by what the documents are saying so far, and there is still some fine print to be fixed on that. However, it is in talking to the experts that you're going to get more accurate information. And even within our group, we've been sharing a bit about this. and some of the flows, we do need to come back to the expert. I think that's been a pretty common theme amongst our 4 experts today is, go and speak to the experts, okay?